Hey everyone, Mr. Regan here, and today we're looking at our first sim question, looking to apply our knowledge of force, mass, and velocity to a question about three objects, A, B, and C, that we see. The question we're looking to answer is which of our three objects experienced the strongest force when it was hit? So we have objects A, B, and C here, and each of them had a unique velocity before they were hit, and they had a unique velocity after they were hit. Now, each object, A, B, and C, as you can see down here, has a mass of 1 kilogram, meaning they are all equal mass. Each of these objects experienced a velocity change after they were hit. And over here in the velocity diagram, we can see that in action. So if we're looking at object A, the green object here, it had a starting velocity of 3 before it was hit. After it was hit, it had a velocity of 0, so it was stopped. Object B had a starting velocity of 2, and then after it was hit, it had an ending velocity of 4, so it sped up in the same direction. Last but not least, we have object C. Object C had a velocity of 1, and then it had a velocity of -1 after it was hit. So it moved in the other direction. So each of our objects went through a velocity change. Object A went from 3 to 0, so it changed by 3. Object B went from 2 to 4, so it changed by 2. And object C went from 1 to -1, so it changed by 2. Your job is to decide which object experienced the strongest force based on the fact that they all had the same mass, they all had different velocity changes, and each of their velocity changes was unique. So your options are object A, object B, or object C. Which one experienced the strongest force? Go ahead and select your answer, pause the video here, and then start it again to look at the answer and see if you got it right. All right. Do we think we got it correct? Let's go ahead and talk about it. So we know that, number one, a stronger force can cause a greater change in velocity. Because all of our objects have the same mass, we know that we can look at their velocity changes to figure out which one had a stronger force. So if we're looking at each of their velocity changes, we don't want to look at what kind of velocity change they had. So we don't want to look at, do they start, do they stop, do they speed up, do they slow down? That doesn't tell us which one had the stronger force. What tells us who had the stronger force was their change in velocity. So we got to look at this very last number here. What did their velocity change to or change like? In this case, if we're looking at our three objects, object C changed by 2, object B changed by 2, and object A changed by 3. So if all of these objects have the same mass, object B and C changed the same amount. The direction of that change, or whether they sped up or slowed down, doesn't matter. Their change is the exact same. So in this case, it's like we have 3 golf balls or 3 ping pong balls. The object that had the strongest force would be object A because it had the greatest change. It changed by 3, which was more than the other two. And we can double check that because in our sim, when we applied our different forces, we can see that object A had the strongest force of 30 and the others had a force of 20. So the correct answer here is object A. If you are unsure about how I got that answer or you want to double check your thinking, feel free to reach out. If you got it right, congrats. If you got it wrong, no big deal, fix it. If you have questions, reach out. Otherwise, good luck with the rest.